Okay, after about 50 takes, that's about the best I'm going to come up with today. So, actually, I guess it'd be, if this gets flagged for copyright, maybe it'd be kind of a compliment if their computer's actually able to recognize it. It sounds close enough to the original to do this. But anyway, so yeah, that was Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. It's a title song from that album by the Smashing Pumpkins, and so, you know, obviously the Smashing Pumpkins is more of a rock band and everything, but that's the first song on the album. They had that piano song. It's a really nice one. I mean, you could listen to the real one because it obviously sounds a lot better than my version, but you know, this isn't the best sounding piano in the world. Obviously, keyboard. It's not, you know, it's not touch sensitive like a real piano, and it's, you know, not. It just doesn't sound like a real piano that much. But you know, but that's one of the things you give up when you're a van. Although if I got some kind of like MIDI keyboard that had was hooked into a computer, yeah, that'd sound a lot better because then basically it's just a computer. It gets the input from the MIDI, and then you just get some kind of program that can make it, you know, sounds good, better. So anyway, and I also need to come up with a better way of mounting this thing. So I guess this is kind of a shorter. These are full size keys, but they're but it's less octaves. But most of the time people don't really play outside of those that much. But so I need to get something to mount this, make it a little better. But on the positive side, got a great view while I'm doing this. The sun just came up here. Oops, turn that off. The sun just, should have defogged this a little bit before I did this. Anyway, yeah, nice. I mean, there's a power plant over there, but you know, hey, we'll forgive them for that. So it's like, you know, it's not like I'm going to fish out of this thing or something. So anyway, yeah, it's pretty windy. I think you could tell it's probably pretty shallow because those waves aren't really that big. Because if this was like back in Duluth, it'd probably be much bigger waves if the wind was blowing like that, you know. But so I think it has to do with depth and stuff too. So anyway, yeah, just it's the morning here, and let's see. Okay, I guess I can't really switch cameras once I'm in the middle of this. I have to keep going on this. But anyway, so it's about 8 o'clock here in Nebraska. I'm about 20 or 30 miles west of North Platte, Nebraska, at this campground that's for the that's owned by the power company, and you know, it's their reservoir. Apparently, they made the reservoir, then they have a free campground, 14-day limit. And and another advantage I forgot to talk about here is probably don't have to worry here right now about my piano playing making someone mad and getting the old, you know, from like, shut that down, you know. It's let's see, there's like nobody here. Nobody there. Okay, yeah, it's empty. There's nobody here. There was this campground down the road, or actually what it was, I guess it was like the parking lot of a golf course basically, and there was a bunch of campers, a fair amount of campers in there, but I mean, but those are like bigger, like, you know, like fifth wheels and stuff, where they probably wouldn't want to come down some road like this or whatever, you know. Or it might have been more, a lot of times people just, if they're just crossing the road, they're more likely just to just crossing the country, they just stop at someplace like a Walmart or something. But I mean, this is a great view. Okay, kind of cool to stay here for a couple days actually. But you know, anyway, but yeah, I'm kind of pretty close to the water here, so that's kind of good too. So this is a good spot because you figure then if you're this close to the water here and you got the right side, I mean, basically you pretty much know no one's going to be walking in front of you. So I guess, you know, you don't have to worry about like, you know, being dressed or whatever. But you know, not that I'm going to try that, but you know. So anyway, yeah, so it's pretty nice. And then what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go to that museum. I mean, I keep calling it a museum. It's a big giant railroad yard that's in North Platte. It's like supposed to be the largest railroad yard in the world, or I don't know how they classify it, railroad slide or whatever. Anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting. I mean, I don't usually get into that railroad stuff a whole lot, but I thought it'd be kind of cool. I mean, it's an attraction. You know, it was the best I could come up with, like in the Midwest and stuff, or is this even considered the Midwest anymore? Like Nebraska, I don't even know. You know, it's kind of funny because I didn't even realize that Minnesota was considered the Northwest till I moved. I mean, the Midwest till I moved there. So I knew that like Missouri and Illinois was the Midwest, but you know, anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna go there. I guess I don't really have any. Yeah, okay. I guess I'm not gonna really do any work on my job today unless I get tickets that come in that are due today. So I'm not gonna do kind of any extra work today. So, but I'll, you know, keep my phone on me and my computer nearby in case there's any urgent tickets and high priority tickets, because that's one of the things like they said they liked about me, and is that I get the tickets, like those kind of things, done quickly. So I want to keep that up, you know, and I think that's part of the job. You know, that it's just to kind of, I mean, I get to do stuff like travel and stuff and bring my job with me, and that's part of the price, is that I have to you know, kind of be on call with the job, you know, to get that stuff done, you know. So it's like that's, you know, and also, I mean, you know, I guess this will never be seen by I mean, I don't think it's, I think it's I think it's a pretty good amount of money for the, I mean, it's not a ton of money, but as far as like the hours, like I think it's, you know, I think it's more than fair, you know. I think it's not, I don't have to work that long on it very often, but yeah, I don't, oh shoot, maybe I should edit that out. Don't let the boss ever hear that, right, you know. He actually asked me that once, and I tried to say, I said, well, yeah, I think it's about fair, you know. I mean, it's kind of tried to, but anyway, yeah, the sun's rising. We're actually looking west, so we don't get to see the sun rising. I suppose if I wanted to come back here at afternoon, we could watch the sun set here, but I don't know. I mean, it depends if it's going to be clear or not. So, yeah, I bet this is a popular. Let me just check and make sure this thing's still going while I'm still. I guess this is a pretty. I bet this is a pretty popular spot in the summer in Nebraska, especially, you know, a state that doesn't really have a whole lot of like lakes and stuff, a lot of water. Which I don't know. I think this would be someplace okay to. I think I'd kind of go crazy now after a while, you know, living in Duluth without all the water and stuff, you know, Lake Superior. I don't know. I kind of hate to come and, you know, I'd go crazy after a little while living in some state that like hardly had any kind of lakes or anything. And, you know, I don't know. This looks like this would be a nice one to go sailing on though. I have a little sailboat, and it's a 19-foot. And I always thought I had an idea where I thought it'd be cool if I had some kind of like inflatable sailboat, or maybe something like, that was like, maybe it had some kind of pontoons that were made out of PVC, somehow screwed together. Basically, somehow where it would be easy just to carry in the van on top or something, and just make it to where, not like a trailer, nothing like where it'd be like any more of a pain. And then just kind of like if I stop someplace like this, I could just kind of get it out there, go sailing, and maybe even go on like some real small lakes in the middle of some area where they probably never even seen a sailboat before. It'd be kind of, and now the thing with those is a lot of those, like, you wouldn't really want to go sailing if it wasn't fairly warm out, because a lot of those ones, like those smaller boats like that, you're going to probably get wet on them, you know. So but yeah, let's see, I wonder, pretty good wind, probably like a 15 or 20 mile an hour wind, I'm not sure exactly, but you know, but like I said, but it's but yeah, those waves aren't very big though. But I don't know, the waves aren't really the big thing. It's more like you'll get like not tipped over if you try taking too small of a boat, like too big a wind. So usually, like my boat, I think like if you start getting into like 13, 14 miles an hour, as far as I'm concerned, you know, that's kind of like pushing as far as like, you know, safety really. But you know, but anyway, so yeah, so this is enjoyable. You know, this kind of shows you some of the stuff you can do in a van. You know, having your little mobile office. I mean, mobile home thing. Well, yeah, it is like a mobile office. I can sit here and do my work in here. I don't know if I'd want to sit here like all day and do this, but you know. And then yeah, mobile office, mobile recording studio. I guess you could actually, a person could set up a recording studio in a van, and then they could like, yeah, then because then they just go like someplace super quiet, you know, like maybe because if you're like, well, I mean, you imagine. Well, I guess you still got some roads that are kind of, but it'd probably be pretty quiet in here if you didn't have the wind, because I think we're kind of far from some roads, but we're not super far from the roads. But if you're like, let's say in the middle of the desert, and one thing with Nebraska, I think Nebraska actually, I've noticed it looks like it has a lot of campgrounds, but a lot of them are like close to the highway, and they're usually like close to somebody's like farm or something, you know. But of course, that's this part of Nebraska. I think maybe like, yeah, further up north though. I mean, that's like really super desolate up there. But it looks like the state actually does a good job as far as like, even though the state's like, you know, doesn't have much public land, it looks like they did a good job at least trying to make sure that there was, you know, a fair amount of campgrounds and stuff around and stuff like that, you know. But although I did get kind of like in trouble like last night, because I was going on freecampgrounds.net, and then it sure I'm still recording. I went on freecampgrounds.net, and then it took me to Google, and then Google took me down this like 20 miles down this dirt road where or that might be exaggeration, maybe it was like 10 miles, but anyway, and it was like, you know, like with no outlet. And then I got to the end of it, and it's like where the campground, and then there's like a big old sign, you know, fence gate, and you know, saying like, you know, basically like trespassers will be shot type stuff, or, you know, I mean, okay, that was an exaggeration too, but the guy had about 5 signs saying like posted no trespassing, no trespassing. I mean, he must have had some, like a lot of people coming there thinking that the campground was there. And then I came like over like to this place, and then first it tried to take me over. Actually, it tried to take me actually into the power plant is what it was. I came all the way to the gate to the power plant, and then I asked the security guard lady who was working in there, and she's like saying like, oh no, it's like around the bend, you know. But she was thinking of a different one. And then I went to that one. What that one really was, it was a state campground. It was part of, I guess it's part of the Nebraska State Park, and then it said you had to have like a permit to go in there all year round, actually, even though I'm sure there was like nobody there. And then yeah, and then it was like but anyway, so it's like, how would I even get the I don't even know how at that point you even get the pass. And plus you know, you wouldn't want to have to get one of those passes just for like you know, one night, you know. I mean, it's kind of like in Minnesota, I think it's like the state park pass, I don't know, maybe it's like 15 per year, I forget exactly, but I mean, it's worth it, because you get, you know, there's a lot of really nice state parks, but I mean, it's like, yeah, you're not gonna, you know. But I'm trying to figure out if that, I need to look up, I don't know if that's a hydroelectric, if it's like a hydroelectric and a combination coal one, because they kind of have a well, anyway, okay, let's not get into that subject. But yeah, so anyway, so what is today? Wednesday. So today's supposed to be, it's pretty cold out right now. It's like 30 something out, 35 or something out right now, and windy, but it's going to be like by the afternoon it's supposed to get to like 50. I guess here maybe you have the thing, it's sort of like the desert where it gets cold at night, you know. And then but anyway, so yeah, so it's going to be kind of warmer. I'm going to try to go to that museum, but I don't know, the only thing is, see, the warmest part of the day is probably going to be around like 1 or 2, but I heard that you're not at that railroad yard, that you don't want to go around like 2 o'clock, because that's when like everybody's taking a break, so you can't really like watch like the trains being changed. So I need to, yeah, I'll call them up first before I go there. There's like this tower you go up and you can see it. I mean, it's like $10 to get in or something, but you know, I mean, occasionally you got to spend some money on something, huh? So anyway, all right, so I guess I'll get going. Maybe I'll call them up, and maybe if I don't go like right away, maybe I'll try to get things like a little organized in here. Maybe eat some food. I mean, I'm not real hungry at the moment, so I don't know. So, all right, talk to you guys later.